Welcome back, folks. Today we have a new guest, and she has been recruiting since she was in college. Her first experience was when she volunteered into it, and then she fell in love with it. Since then, she has been recruiting for many years, and currently she is a technical recruiter in SE2. Her name is Maria, and let's hear more from her.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. And I want to thank you for inviting me to be on this podcast. It's super exciting. I'm very passionate about recruiting. So something I love to talk about. A little bit about me. Again, my name is Maria Wittenberger. I am a senior technical recruiter for SE2, and I absolutely love what I do. I didn't start doing this in college. It's not something I had in mind, but it's something I came across and absolutely love.
So, Maria, what is your story? Interestingly, you started from college. Everyone should now know that. What's your story? How did you begin your journey?
Yeah, so I have a master's degree in biology. So
Wow.
it's not exactly human resources, but how it started, I worked at a college. I was teaching and I loved it. I was passionate about it. And then they asked me to help with a recruitment event. And I'm like, okay, happy to help volunteer. And I fell in love with it. Getting to talk to eager students who are excited about their future and talking about careers, it just lit a spark in me. I absolutely loved it. So I eventually transitioned into a college recruiter role. I did that for many years. And again, very passionate about that. I love working with college students, both traditional and non-traditional college students. And I did that for many years. But I really wanted more. I really wanted to grow. And I knew that bug of recruiting, was something that I really wanted to do. And I made the transition a few years ago into recruiting for careers versus colleges. And that's where I've been ever since.
Interesting that you began in college, then you had a PhD in different domain, and then came back to recruiting. Interesting enough, I guess that you might have the both sides of recruiting as well as biology, and using it in some form of fashion in recruiting as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's flexing a lot of the same muscle. College recruiting and career recruiting, it's about people really having open ears and listening to people and what they're wanting to do and help them get to those and achieve those dreams. So yeah, absolutely agree.
So, can you tell us about your company? What does SE2 does? What is its daily routine?
Yeah, so SE2, we are a technology company and we build end-to-end technologies for life insurance and annuity companies. So we build the software that not only the employees use, for our clients, but also for their customers as well. We also support them operationally. So we have a lot of big contracts, and life insurance and annuities are so important. They can be absolutely life-changing. So being able to help and support companies be more accurate, efficient, and just overall effective with their processing is something that we are very excited about being able to do.
Interesting, nice. I guess insurance means you have done recruiting in insurance as well. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, so we don't sell the insurance. We build the platforms that the insurance companies use. So we, again, digital products, nothing physical off the shelf, but we don't actually sell the insurance. We build the software that the companies who sell the insurance use.
Okay. What do you think is the hardest part about your recruiting?
Oh my gosh, right now it's sourcing. Obviously, I'm a tech recruiter. I do some operations recruiting as well, but just finding candidates. Once I find them, I, definitely am great about building that rapport, building up SE2. I really believe in our, company mission and our values and our amazing benefits. So once I find a candidate, that's the easier part. But right now, sourcing tech talent is tough to find right now, specifically for some of our harder to find positions.
There is a scarcity of candidates who are right for the job, and the job openings are more, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. For every 2-3 jobs you have, there might only be a handful of candidates that can fit that role. So yes, if you are thinking about getting into the tech industry, now is the time.
Is there any common misunderstanding about the interview, or is there anything that a candidate always does wrong in an interview?
I don't think it's wrong. I think they need to focus on doing what's right. And this is my motto. If I talk to a candidate, especially a junior candidate, and I can tell they're extremely nervous, I let them know that I want it to be them. I want them to be the next candidate. I am just as hopeful and as excited as the candidate is. That's my job, right? To get folks over the finish line and to be in a position that they can thrive and grow in and help our business succeed. So just know that I want it just as much as you do. And so another thing I would mention is be able to speak to experiences. So, say you tell me, yes, I have incredible work ethic. Fantastic. Tell me about an example where you went above and beyond. Be able to speak to what is on your resume. That is a reflection of you. So when you're building of that, be very cognizant about what you're putting on there. So when I ask for examples, so if you can't give me examples, that I would say is a little bit of a red flag. And also don't be afraid to show your personality. I want to know you. Of course, your skill sets are important, but you're going to be on my team, right? So being able to share your personality and a little bit, about your, fun, creative side, whatever it is, please show that to me too. The more rapport you build with a recruiter, I can tell you the more successful you will be.
You have to definitely be aware of what you're trying to put on your resume and be able to showcase it back with an example. Right?
Yes. And some other advice I would give. I mean, the first step really isn't the interview. The first step is me reviewing your resume and wanting to interview you. So make for sure your resume is aligned to the job description. Don't use a blanket resume for every job. You will not find very much success doing that. Don't lie on your resume. I mean, that's be honest, because we will find that out eventually, but maybe rearrange your resume. There's different skill sets that are higher up in the job description. Then align your skill sets to match that, because that's what we're looking for. So that's something else I would say before you even get to the interview step, is to make for sure your resume is aligned as closely with your accurate skill set to the job description as possible.
For not lying on the interview, meaning that the candidate has to fact check everything on his resume and be able to back it up by proof. Suppose a candidate has a certificate or anything like that, better he has to showcase the skills as well as the certificate to prove it back, right?
Absolutely. So we are a highly regulated industry. The finance and insurance industry is. So we verify employment, we verify certificates, but also we have skills tests, especially for software developers, software engineers, full stack engineers, DevOps. We use different skill set tests so you can really showcase your skill set. We're not trying to catch anybody, but we really want to highlight where you might be the best fit. So yes, being honest is key, because we would quickly find out if that wasn't the case. But yeah, I don't run into that often. I really don't, but I have a handful of times. But I would just say being able to speak to what is on your resume, be excited about those examples, passionate about those examples of things you've done, because that's what's going to stand out in the interview.
Nice, great one. Can you differentiate if I have a friend? Basically, I had a friend back then who was asking me, man, should I do a certificate and directly get a job? Or would I get a job by doing directly a certification? So my question to you is that if a candidate is experienced enough, would you pick that candidate, or would you pick a candidate who just has certification with no experience?
I think there's value to both. What's nice about a certificate is that training is the same. It's congruent. I don't know what you did in your experience per se, but I know what's on that test. So there's consistency, especially in tech. Certificates are very, very important. Most of my roles are higher level. So most of the candidates I'm speaking to have a bachelor's, master's, doctorates, what have you. But certificates are really important, especially right now. I'm hiring for some technical project managers and some product managers. So having your PMP, being a Scrum master, knowing those methodologies and being able to speak to those, that holds a lot of weight.
Okay. So higher the position, higher the experience, and the certificate should come along with it, right?
Yeah, I would say in general. I mean, if you're talking to a more junior candidate, that just, got out of college or something, yes. But something else I'll highlight, not to get too off track here, but is internships. A lot of tech companies, including the one I have paid internships. And it doesn't have to be just after your senior year. So even after your freshman year, start getting that experience. I know a lot of people struggle with getting that. Internships are an excellent way to do that. I can speak to SC2. We even have some remote internship opportunities, and a lot of them are paid. And that's going to really help you, have that trajectory of success of getting, further interviews if they don't decide to keep you. which they very well might.
Think that the candidate should definitely try for interviews, meaning get practical experience before even trying to apply for a job. Interesting
Yeah.
point, Maria. Interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're recruiting sometime in the game and you come across a candidate who is not on the par of the job, and you want to deliver a negative news or that tell him that he's not been selected, so how do you deliver that?
Tough news is hard. Nobody wants to give it and nobody wants to receive it. I think leading with kindness is important, leading with empathy, but also being direct. You don't want to beat around the bush too much. So being direct, thanking them for the time, even some coaching skills. Maybe it's in the interview. Maybe it's, hey, if you would have had this skill set, this job could have been yours. So giving positive feedback, being kind, but also being direct I have found the best way to give not the best news to someone.
Meaning being kind and direct, not beating too much time and giving one solution to them that this could have been yours, but if just because you don't have this, that is why you need to improvise. Giving the solution, right? Got it.
Yeah, I think feedback is vital. How are they going to improve if they don't know, why they didn't get the position? Maybe for like a first interview, I might not give as detailed feedback, especially if someone's been with us through 1, 2, 3 interviews, and they were one of the final candidates. I think feedback is vital.
After going to 2, 3 rounds, the candidate should surely understand, okay, where did I go wrong? What was my point that I couldn't get a job?
Mm-hmm. We've all been there. And that's what I think. We've all been in those shoes. I mean, there's very few people that get every job they have applied for or interviewed for. So, put yourself in their shoes and really let them know, hey, this is what the candidate had that got the job. These are some things you can work on, or just, positive coaching and feedback to help them succeed in further roles.
Nice point. Nice point. Are you a lone worker or do you prefer to work in teams? Which one is it?
So I'll tell you what, when it comes to being a recruiter, you have to be able to speak to your business. You have to speak to your funnel, the amount of applicants, the amount of, candidates you have in the pipeline. So you very much have to speak to your own business, but teamwork is vital. At SC2, it is key. I have an amazing team, amazing talent acquisition team, amazing leadership. And not to be cliche, but, teamwork makes the dream work, and us, bouncing things off of each other, supporting each other. It is vital for our success and my success specifically. But you have to be able to pull your own weight. Don't get me wrong, but you definitely, having a great team is what's going to knock it out of the park.
Okay, so having a great team is important. Getting on the other side is that being alone sometimes prefers a candidate sometimes has that, okay, leave me alone, I can work alone, for just give me some space, I'll work alone on this and then I'll get back to you with a clear example or clear solution. Sometimes do you come across this? Because I happen to come across this kind of situations very much in my daily experiences, that okay, leave me alone for 5-10 minutes or just give me some space, I'll come back with a good solution. I don't need everyone to come back and tell me that, yeah, I am doing good or this is the right solution. What do you prefer at this?
I mean, a lot of my work is individual. But we're supported as a team. So, I'm the only one, sourcing for my candidates for the most part. I'm the one that's calling the candidates, interviewing the candidates. You definitely have touch points, definitely not micromanaged in this role. SC2 is all about, top talent, seeking top talent and keeping top talent. So we're definitely not a micromanager type of company. So yes, there's definitely value to working on your own. And I would say a lot of what I do is individual work, but that team atmosphere and being a team player. And what I mean by a team player is supporting your team. So if you come across a candidate that might be great for an operational role, sending that to your candidate, go ahead and interviewing them, always asking for referrals, for the rest of your team. So that's kind of what I mean by teamwork. But yes, a lot of what I do is on my own. And you write your own success as a recruiter, but I would say it's a little bit of both. It's important to be able to work individually, very little, management, but it's also really important to have a team to help support you as well.
Yeah, preferably having a mixture of both is important, right? Because sometimes I I agree that being a team player is important because a team will only be able to win the longer game and the individual might only be able to win one short specific goal. I agree to that point of yours. And the point that every candidate should remember that it is always the team who wins and the candidate who is just another thing, another part of being the bigger game. Yeah, I understand that point as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Can you tell what do you look on a resume when you're trying to gauge a candidate?
Yes, if you could put your skill sets at the top, that would be awesome. So I don't believe in those conventional rules that you don't have your resume go on to 2 pages. I don't think those rules really apply. They certainly don't apply to me, but you need to grab my attention. So at the top, put your skill sets, your qualifications, even bold things. For instance, if we're looking for a specific software engineer and we're looking for .NET, C Sharp, Java, whatever it is, put that at the top. The top 2 or 3 bullet points, grab my attention. And once you have it, I will happily read through all 2 pages of your resume to find out more about you. But if you don't have something that grabs me at the beginning, I have so many resumes I have to screen, hundreds a week. It's really important to grab the attention at the top would be my suggestion.
Which platforms do you use basically?
Oh, yes. Okay. LinkedIn. Most of my positions come from LinkedIn. And so that's something else I want to mention. Please have an updated LinkedIn. So I would say about half of my candidates are passive candidates. So what I mean by passive candidates, they didn't apply to the job, right? I found them. I find you, first of all, by referrals. Referrals are key. That's something I cannot tell you how important referrals are, but beyond that is having an updated LinkedIn profile. So I'll do a LinkedIn search. And if your LinkedIn profile isn't updated, then I'm not going to find you. So I'll look for certain locations, certain skill sets, certain job titles of certain companies they've worked for, years of experience. And so if you aren't updating that, LinkedIn isn't going to do it for you. So definitely keep an updated LinkedIn profile because that's how I find about half my candidates. So I use something called LinkedIn Recruiter. I'll do a search for skill sets and then I start sending out those in mails, to see if you're interested and want to connect. So one of the most important things you can do is have an updated LinkedIn profile. We also use Indeed for some roles. We've used ZipRecruiter, and of course, company websites.
There's a lot of things that a candidate should look after this. Who is going to listen to this podcast, they will definitely understand that having a LinkedIn profile is a must when you're trying to get a job. That's a golden point from you.
Yes, absolutely. And not just applying from LinkedIn, again, keeping your profile updated, skill sets, be active on LinkedIn. That's something I'll look at from a candidate. Are you posting? What are you posting? What are you liking? I want to see that movement. I want to see that you're, really wanting a job, and sometimes that's how I find my candidate. A candidate will comment on, one of my posts. I'm like, and I'll go look at their profile. I'm like, wait a minute, she fits my profile perfect. I'm going to send her a message. So just being active on LinkedIn can help get you, build your footprint. You want to build a digital footprint of you, your own brand, and being on LinkedIn and being active on LinkedIn is a great way to do that.
Right. Having a digital footprint, showing your work, and most importantly, being active and engaging with the community. That is a one short way to get the eyes of recruiter. Great point.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Okay. Do you have any sites? This is off the bar, but do you have any sites or do you prefer any sites where you can go and can you tell me or share some sample copies of a good resume?
Examples of a clear resume. So please have your contact information at the top, your LinkedIn, your email, your phone number. I cannot tell you how many resumes I've seen that don't have phone numbers. And when I'm looking at hundreds of resumes, if I have to struggle to contact you, then it's going to be tough, right? So having your contact information, keeping it updated at the top. We don't really need your address anymore. Maybe if you want to add a city, state, or like a metro area. At the very top, you might want to put a qualifications. I'm a, leader in my industry. I led my team to do this, a lot of action words at the beginning. And again, having a skills and qualifications at the top, speaking to technology, things you've got over the finish line, projects you've worked on, things like that. And then also quantitative data. So I had a marketing budget of $1 million. I came in under budget. I increased my, sales revenue by 20%. I came in, 20% under my timeline for my quality testing. Having those qualitative things will grab my attention. And then make sure, you have gaps in resumes. I know that's sometimes people worry about that. I don't worry about that as much as long as you can speak to it. And that goes back to what we were talking before. That resume is a reflection of you. It's a mirror, right? So make sure it accurately represents sense to you and that you can speak to it just like you could, talking about your favorite food. Make sure you really know it and understand it. Don't just throw it together. Have people proofread it. And then again, be flexible with your resume. Don't be afraid to look at that job description and move things around. So what we're looking for is at the top. It just makes sense to do that. And I know that takes time, but that's what's going to get you in the door and past that next stage.
There is a lot of things that you just told, and it is very, very keen for everyone to understand on this point that when you're trying to do a resume, build a resume, first thing is that you should be able to, the recruiter should be able to contact you easily and immediately. So the contact information should be clear. Second, what you just told, that candidate should be able to showcase his skills on the top so that the recruiter is able to understand whether you are the right fit for the job or not immediate. Third, can you just reiterate on the third part where you said that qualitative measures versus quantitative measures? I came in under something. I couldn't get you on that. Can you just repeat that?
Yeah. So quantitative data. So, I led a marketing budget of $1 million, or I increased productivity by 20%. I created a platform that saved, the company 30% and saved the company maybe $1.5 million in revenue. Really specific examples, that qualitative data, numbers, numbers are going to stand out on your resume. You're looking at a bunch of words, numbers stand out. So that's something that's really exciting. And really, it talks about what you've done. Yes, you could be a hard worker. Yes, you could be great at communication skills, but I created a Airtable platform that helped save communication for our team by 15%, or, some sort of number that you can speak to, money you saved, time you've saved, what you can do, what value you bring to the business, and what you have done before. That's something I like to see too.
Okay, nice point over there, Maria. But I guess that means the candidate should be able to showcase his quantitative skills, right? The numbers on the table. As you said, the numbers don't lie. The numbers should be on the table very quickly. Yeah, great point.
Yeah, I agree.
What are the trends you're trying to see? Because currently there are multiple trends in the tech industry. Which one is the one that you are mostly into, and what are you following?
Trend, not at SC2 per se, but there is, it's the great resignation. So people are moving. I have seen that a lot. There has been a lot of resignation. We know that it's on the news. So what SC2 does is pour a lot of money into not just attracting top talent, but keeping top talent. But overall trends, I would say there's a lot of movement going on overall in the tech industry for sure. So again, if you are not in the tech industry, now is a good time. I think because of COVID, the digital spike and the need for more digital platforms has increased tenfold. So everything from mobile apps to, platforms like we're building are just increasing. And I think also markets are going global. So SC2 is a global company. We're located, in India, Ireland, Canada, United States. And so also our trend is growing, where our talent is, not everything needs to be in, within 50 miles in a commutable distance anymore. So it's so awesome to be able to talk to people all over the world and to recruit people all over the world. So I think that's another trend that I've been seeing is more global recruiting.
Do you prefer to be flexible on remote work versus hard and fast? No, you have to come to the office. Which one do you prefer?
It depends on the position. So we have something called a work from anywhere policy. So we don't care as much where you work. We care about the quality of your work. The caveat to that is leadership. We have some, project managers that have 60, 70, 80 different, staff strong, they're cross-functional. So it's really important for some of our leaders to be there so they can put a face to a name. I do think there is value in having face-to-face conversations and building rapport, but I don't think it needs to be every day. We also want to be flexible and give you that time back of not having to commute. So I would say SC2 is progressive. We really want to give you that flexible work-life balance. And as long as your productivity is meeting the metrics, again, we care about the quality of your work and the timeliness of your work, not so much about where you work, but we do understand and value the importance of being in office sometimes and building rapport.
Okay, so you are focusing both, that is flexible, but there is one caveat that you will be facing a leadership and not being able to be around your team. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so what you are telling about the great resignation and how is SC2 being able to tackle that? Can you just go in depth a little more?
Yes. So we have a fantastic benefit package. We recently just rolled out unlimited PTO. And so we don't just want to say, yeah, we want you to have a flexible work-life balance. We want to pour money into it. And I always say, look where the money goes. That's what matters. And SC2 is pouring millions of dollars into our employee benefit package. And that shows me that they care. So they want you to take a minimum of time off, a minimum of 4 weeks off. That's crazy. That's nothing that I've ran across before. We also have really progressive maternity and paternity benefits, 13 weeks paid off for the mother and the father. We know that time's crucial. We know you can't get that time back, and we care about you having that time because we know if you're happy and healthy, you're going to be a lot more successful at work. We also provide lots of assistance programs, everything from legal services, mental health. Mental health is something that's been a buzzword, and again, we are putting money behind it to offer mental health services, free gym memberships, wellness programs, everything down to pet insurance. We don't want to leave anybody out. Affordable benefits. We don't want you to have to worry about how you're going to pay for your, child's broken foot or something. We want to support you as much as we can. And I think providing those is huge. Another big thing that SC2 does that I am super passionate about is transparency. They do these things called morning minutes, and it's with our different leadership staff, and they tell you about what they're doing, what their goals are, where they're at on their goals. I mean, even down to the granular detail about OKRs and things like that. And our leadership is approachable. They're not on some sort of pedestal in the sky, right? They're in front of you. They're talking with you. They do these things. Our CEO, Michelle Troney, does this thing, ask me anything. She really wants you to get to know her. Again, we know if we have happy, healthy employees that our business is going to be productive, and we pour into our employees, so they can be as happy and healthy as possible. So I think that is one way SC2 does. And also being competitive with compensation is key as well.
Great points over here that SE2 is being able to tackle all of this and still being able to carry the employee in the company. I believe that SE2 is growing rapidly and great shot at the next million mark and whatever the next goals they have.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any advice, or do you prefer to give any advice on how to negotiate salary?
Yes, do your research. When I ask you, so every company's different, but I'm the one, that spearheads that conversation and builds that compensation package along with our HR team and the hiring manager. But do your research, be able to speak confidently about what you're needing in compensation, whether that be bonus, whether that be base, whether that be profit sharing, 401k. Know your worth and do market research so you can confidently say, I would like to make blank, and don't be afraid to negotiate. It's not taboo. I always say the worst thing we could say is no, right? So I would say maybe 10, 15 years ago, not a lot of people would negotiate, but I would say now, Dave, gosh, about 70 to 80% of my candidates negotiate, whether it's not just comp, and that's another thing to bring up. It's not just compensation that can be negotiated. I mean, obviously we have unlimited PTO, but other companies, you could ask for more PTO. You could ask for higher profit sharing. You could ask for a higher bonus. Really understand the bonus structure and the benefits and things that also look at things as a total comp, ask to see the benefit package if they've not already emailed it to you. So you can look at, hey, am I paying, $200 a month in healthcare? Am I paying $1,000 a month in healthcare? Really look at things as a total package. But yes, do not be afraid to negotiate and speak confidently about it. And that's going to get you the best results.
That is great, really. That is really great. I guess there is one more thing that I would definitely like to ask is, what do you look for an ideal candidate, apart from his technical skills?
What do I look for an ideal candidate? I would definitely say someone who's personable, because again, you're going to be on my team, so I'm an in-house recruiter, right? So I'm not an agency. So if you're going to be working for me, being able to build rapport and then to have a good personality, and good is not a quantitative term, but being able to show who you are, which can be tough in an interview. But again, I can't tell you the value of building good rapport with your recruiter. Oftentimes for most companies, recruiters are the gateway to the next step, right? I cannot tell you enough how important that is to build that rapport. Get to know your recruiter, don't be afraid to ask questions. Those are some of the things I suggest.
Nice point over there as well, that the candidate should be able to see what the recruiter is. And a great way to do that is by going through their LinkedIn profile or any social profile they have built and see what they are trying to build and what the company is trying to do. As you said, do your research. One line answer is do your research.
Yes, do your research about the company. So when I'm interviewing somebody, I say, what do you know about SC2? And if they can't give me anything, then that means they're not invested in this process, which shows me that they might not be invested in SC2 or the job they're doing in the future. So what you get in the beginning is oftentimes the best that you're going to get. So if you're not showing your best in the beginning, then you're probably not going to move on to the next step. So yes, being able to do your research on the company, look at the company's profile on LinkedIn. What are they doing? What are their initiatives? Gosh, I had an intern. She blew me away. We have recently acquired a couple new companies. She went back and read old press releases, and she could speak confidently about what we did and why we did it and our business. And she got the job. I was ready to give it to her, before we even hung up. She took initiative. She was proactive. She was able to speak to it. All those things that are important when you do your job. And if you're showing that from the beginning, then I know you're going to do that in the end.
What you get at the first is what you get at the last as well. If a job requires let's say a job requires 10 skills and a candidate has 8 to 9, let's say 6 to 7. Would you be
Okay.
able to pick that candidate, or would you be letting go that candidate?
Yeah, so it depends on the skill, So if we're looking for a Java developer, if you don't have that, probably not. It depends on the skill. But I would also say, as a recruiter, I would be more apt to hire a junior candidate that had all the skills than a senior candidate who is lacking some. It's been my experience to have more success with that. But yes, we can be flexible. Showing that you're coachable, showing that you are excited to learn, showing that professional development is something that's important to you, being able to speak to that, and don't hide it. If they ask you about a specific skill set, be like, no, I don't have that now, but you know what, I've looked into these programs. I'm really excited about taking this online course. I'm excited to learn more. This is the research I have done on this subject. Again, don't hide it, be transparent, but be able to speak to it about what you want to do and how you can overcome that, or how you can get that skill in the future. Something I see a lot is our domain is insurance techs, fintechs. So somebody might have been a project manager for a different type of role, so they might not know the industry, but they say, hey, I've done research on this, or I'm excited to learn more. It's really all in how you phrase it. So to answer your question, yes, if they don't have all the skill sets, we could definitely be flexible as long as they show willingness to learn. And again, especially for junior candidates, we are not afraid to look at any different skill level if we think they're going to be able to get the job over the finish line.
Right. Interesting enough. I can take your point on that. I agree. But do you think that this is across the HR domain, or is this what SC2 only follows?
That's a good question. It depends on your hiring manager, to be honest. It depends on the position. I think for an operational role, accounting, finance, there might be some more flexibility, but in the tech industry, it's a little bit more finite. It's a little bit more rigid. And like you said, you don't have to have 5 college degrees. You can get different certifications. Just showing initiative that you've done that, I think helps. But overall, I would say, yeah, they're willing to be flexible. Again, right now, everybody's seeking top talent. So I think people are becoming to be more flexible. I can encourage you, if you do not check all 10 boxes, apply to the job. You never know what else you might have. Or something else people don't realize is recruiters have a whole list of requisitions they're working. You might have found one job, but I might look at your resume and be like, you know what? She doesn't fit this role, but she fits this role. I cannot tell you how many times I've pivoted. Literally, I was looking at a software engineer. He applied to a software engineer background, but I noticed he had a huge finance background. Just hired somebody as an investment staff accountant that didn't apply to that role, So even if you aren't super confident, or maybe the requisition isn't even posted yet, right? Like, I know it's coming, like, hey, I know we're going to have this ad planned, but it's not posted yet. Apply to other jobs that are even similar, just to get your resume in front of those recruiters so they can start flagging and tagging those and have you be on their radar.
Preventing the job role and not definitely needing a particular type of role, but yeah, got it. Definitely keep applying, and keep applying. That is the one motto that anyone can follow when trying to get a job.
Yes, you have to be, I would say, for every 10 to 20 jobs you apply for, you might get one interview. So think about that on a large scale. So that's hundreds of jobs, that you're probably going to have to apply for.
What is the one thing that a candidate should be aware when he is trying to apply for a job with any company, not just NC2 or any other thing? Just on a basic level, that one thing that is your advice to candidate.
The one thing to advise to candidate when they're applying for jobs, again, beware of your digital footprint. So also think about other social media. Make for sure, those are up to par and professional. Apply to a lot of jobs. I will tell you, bigger companies have bigger budgets, right? So they can promote jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed. And I mean, that costs thousands of dollars to do that. So also, I guess this is more of a sourcing technique about where to apply for. Go to companies' websites and apply there too. Not everybody has large budgets to do things like that. And when they're applying, again, make for sure that their resume is matching the skill set and the order that it's listed on the job description. That's what's going to catch the attention. And also realize it's not always them. When I'm on my third interview for a candidate, yes, the job's still posted, but you might meet the skill sets. But if I'm already at the third interview with the candidate, the likelihood of getting that position is going to be lower. So don't let it hurt your morale that you didn't get a job. Maybe it went to an internal candidate. Maybe we decided not to fill the role. There's a million different reasons of why you didn't get the job. Focus on you and why you are right for the job. Those are some things that I would suggest as well.
Interesting enough, Maria. I would definitely like to have some rapid. Would you like to do that?
Sure.
What is the one book that you would recommend everyone to read?
Oh my gosh, one book to everyone to read. Man, let me get back with you on that one. I have too many to think of.
Okay, what is the one movie everyone should watch according to you?
One movie everybody should watch. Oh my gosh. There's a movie, it was called The Giver. It was really cool. I really liked that book. It was talking about social change and government and looking at things through different lenses and different societies. And I don't know, I thought it was cool.
And the movie part, which one?
The movie, well, it's actually a movie and a book. It started as a book. The book was called The Giver. And then the movie was also called The Giver too. I really liked both of those. I read them when I was younger.
What is the latest habit that you picked up?
The latest habit that I picked up. A habit that I've picked up is I always used to do paper lists. And I've recently started using OneNote. And that has been such a time saver to have a digital, because pieces of paper get lost. They're not organized. You could spill water on them, you name it. And I also started doing that in my personal life using the notes section in my iPhone, and that's helped a lot too. Other habits, I've started exercising in the morning versus at night. At night, it's easy to find excuses, but in the morning, if you knock it out, you're more likely to do it.
Okay, getting up early and doing exercise, that is the one habit that you picked up. Okay, got it. Any YouTube channels that you would follow?
Well, now I'm going to start following yours, right? I listen to a lot of NPR, News Talk Radio. Again, my degree's in biology, so I love anything by David Attenborough. He's a conservationist that I love. I'm passionate about the earth and ecology and things of that nature, global warming. So I would say David Attenborough. He's probably one of my favorites to listen to.
Interesting that you would definitely listen to NPR. I got it. Interesting choice on that. Sunday morning or Saturday night?
Saturday night.
Family evening or friends night?
Family.
Podcast or audiobooks?
Podcasts.
Okay. Biggest surprise that you have in your life recently?
Biggest surprise. Oh gosh. Recently, I would say I had a set of twins a couple years ago. So twins were a big surprise.
Okay. What keeps you excited?
Getting to talk to people all over the world and expand my knowledge of their culture.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Oh gosh, I'm on, of course, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Flickr. I'm on quite a few social media platforms.
Any new things that you're doing on a daily basis?
Any new things that I'm doing on a daily basis? Gosh, new things. I would say being mindful of my time and organizing my day in the beginning. If you go into your day and you don't have a plan, then you are not setting yourself up for success. So taking a few moments the day before to plan out my day, block time off, think time, focus time, what I'm going to do at this time, but also being able to pivot, when high priority things come up. But I would say planning my work day and even my personal life has been something new I've been doing.
I really enjoyed the podcast with you and the rapid fire questions as well. Any points that you want to add on this? I would definitely take it.
Yeah. So something that I'm passionate about is referrals. I would say, no kidding, 15 to 20% of the people I hire are referrals. So don't be afraid to ask people, is your company hiring? Or you see a friend that works at a business, hey, could you give me a referral or professional referral? The power of a referral is tenfold. I can't tell you how many, candidates I find always being aware of leaving a good, not burning any bridges in previous employment, having those positive experiences, because they very well could want to bring you back in the future, and building rapport, strong professional rapport, and leaning on that and having a big professional network is one of the best ways I found to get your foot in the door.
Interesting points on that. I agree that everyone should be having a good digital footprint, showing their work, engaging with their community, having good contact details on their resume, and every other point that you mentioned. Just summing up on all of that. Thank you, Maria, for the podcast. Thank you for your time as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Happy enough. You got your resume tips, you got your great resignation impact, and also how to perform in an interview. You got also the salary negotiation and much more into this podcast. She was Maria, and thank you for being on the podcast. See you on the next one.